Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to the podcast or the channel if you're watching, and today I'm going to speak about the 5 things you need to focus on to lose your first 10 pounds. The reality is when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to fat loss, people overcomplicate it. They try to focus on the wrong things when you really just need to focus on some of the fundamentals that I'll speak you through. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Adrian McDonnell. I'm a full-time online health and fitness coach. Formerly used to be a primary school teacher, and we coach busy working professionals all over the world look, feel and perform their utmost best. Now before I speak about what you should focus on to lose your first 10 pounds, first of all let's focus what I wouldn't do. The first thing I wouldn't do is I wouldn't just cut out all my favorite food or food groups, remove carbohydrates and just go completely cold turkey. This is what a lot of people do. You go from eating chocolate every single night of the week, getting 2 takeouts a week, drinking alcohol every weekend, to completely going cold turkey. What we often found with our coaching experience at Mac Lifestyle Fitness is that this might generate short-term success for maybe a week or two, but then something happens. You have a piece of chocolate, you have a piece of cake, you go out for some drinks with your mates and you just press the effort button. You go from a 10 to a 0 and you never just fall back to where you started. So you don't need to completely overhaul your lifestyle. If you cannot follow the method for a decade, do not do it for a day. The second thing to avoid is just following fad diets or quick fixes. You see a lot of them now online. You see these false influencers promoting products they probably don't even use, and people promoting, fat burning pills or shakes. It's like, realistically, if you're going to lose something quickly, it's probably going to gain and come back on quickly. So just what I would say there is, do not follow any fad diets or quick fixes. The answer lies in the work that you're currently not doing. So you need to put in the work. There's essentially no shortcuts you can take. If you do follow these 5 steps, you can certainly fast track that process, but do not follow any fad diets. The next thing to avoid is just, I think probably the biggest one, is just the mindset, the expectation that some people have. It's like, if you've been, carrying an extra 30 pounds and you're 30 pounds heavier for the last year or two, that's not going to go overnight. And I'd say above all else, one of the biggest reasons that people quit is because it's not because the nutrition is hard. It's not because the training is hard. It's not because getting your steps in is hard. It's just the consistency of sticking to it. So whatever journey you're on, if you want to lose your first 10 pounds and you want to lose 20 more on top of that, just remember, don't set unrealistic expectations. A KPI to aim for is aim to lose about 2 to 4% of your body weight per month. Okay, so let's just say, for example, that you are 100 kilograms. Anywhere from 2 to 4 kilos a month, which is 0.5 to 1 kilo a week, is a good target or metric to aim for. Okay, if you just want to lose, 10 kilograms, someone said to me they want to lose like an unrealistic amount of weight before a holiday next month. I'm like, if you lose weight so quickly, the problem with that approach as well is you're also losing muscle, and losing muscle will slow down your metabolism, which is why often when people they lose weight, they regain it, because not only have they lost a lot of muscle mass, but they've also essentially screwed up their metabolism from following these fad diets and quick fixes. So you don't need to go cold turkey. You don't need to cut out all your favorite foods. Set some realistic expectations. And finally, just remember, when it comes to fat loss especially, the temptation a lot of people have is that they just do lots and lots of cardio, because your mindset is, okay, well, I just want to sweat a lot. So the more I sweat, therefore, the better the workout is. So that's why people resort to running, to cardio machines, to elliptical and whatnot. The problem with that approach is cardio is great for burning calories. However, in the absence of strength training, it doesn't build muscle. The reason muscle is important is because muscle is essentially more metabolically active than fat, meaning the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest. So if you're just doing cardio, you're not lifting weights, sure, you might burn more calories during your session. The problem is you're not going to have the 24/7 calorie burn, which essentially will come from having more muscle mass after your session. That's why you might see some people online and they're in insane shape and you're like, how are they eating 4,000 calories a day, still maintaining their weight, while I'm consuming a measly, 1,600 calories and I'm struggling to actually lose weight, okay? It's because they spent a lot of time building muscle, which is something everyone should prioritize. So now that we spoke about what not to do, let's focus on what you should do. The first thing I'd recommend is just change the foods you eat. It might sound so basic, but if you analyze your week just gone by, the majority of people are consuming anywhere from 5 to 10 consistent meals across the week. So if you're not happy with your body composition, just simply change the 5 to 10 meals that you eat. So for example, like someone said to me, I was on a call recently with someone and they're like, well, can I still have the free lunch or the free breakfast they get at work? It's like, well, eating that breakfast has gotten you the body that you currently have. So if you want to keep eating that, well, then nothing is going to change. So you just simply need to change the foods you eat. And one of the easiest ways I said is analyze what your 5 to 10 most common meals are. Now, for a lot of people that we have consultation calls with, often their day looks something like, lots of sandwiches, lots of carbs for lunch, maybe like granola for breakfast, porridge for breakfast with no protein, and then like a big ass lasagna, big ass dinner in the evening. evening. So it's like, okay, well, for your breakfast, can we add some protein there? Rather than just having porridge, can you get a porridge with some Greek yogurt? Rather than just, having a load of bread and ham and cheese sandwich, how about we get something like a lean protein wrap or a lean protein bowl with some veggies there. So you're getting some protein, you're getting some fiber in. Rather than having, a huge serving of spaghetti bolognese where there's lots of spaghetti, very little meat, very little vegetables, could you portion your plate out a bit better? So, 3/4 are coming from protein and from vegetables, with the final quarter coming from carbs. It's like, just rather than, focus on really difficult things, just start by changing the foods you eat. And when you start changing the foods you eat, the reason I like this is because we're not saying you can't have anything, but rather it's more so focusing on addition or swapping out. So rather than saying, I can't eat chocolate, I can't eat carbohydrates, whatever it might be, what is the first thing that you want to do if I said you can't eat chocolate? You're going to rebel, you're going to want to eat chocolate. But if I say, okay, rather than saying stop eating chocolate, why don't you just eat more protein, eat more vegetables, and drink more water, okay? So when you focus on addition rather than subtraction, what you can have rather than what you can't have, and just changing the foods you eat, that'll be the first step to losing up to your first 10 pounds. Okay, so step number 2, after we change the foods you eat, now it comes down to actually tracking your food or keeping a food diary. So why is this important? Because one of the most important principles that governs fat loss is calories in, calories out. So if you're in a calorie deficit, that means you're consuming fewer calories than you burn. However, if you're not tracking how long is a piece of string, how are you meant to know if you're actually losing weight or how many calories you're consuming if you're actually not estimating it? So very interestingly, a study actually came out over 15 years ago at this stage, and was essentially done with 1,700 participants. Those who kept a food diary for 6 days a week or more, they lost twice as much weight as those who did not. So why is keeping a food diary important? It's because it creates accountability. Where focus goes, energy flows. And when you actually write down what you're eating, or even better, use an app such as MyFitnessPal and track it, it creates awareness, it creates accountability. Another thing that people say to us, so one of our guys, for example, Niley, joined us just over 2 or 3 weeks ago. And one thing he started doing when he started tracking his calories was, it increases awareness that, my God, I didn't realize how many foods high in fat that I was consuming. Prior to it, it might have been things like, a fry in the morning, or, processed meat, things like ham, or just lots and lots of cheese and so on. But then when he started tracking, okay, well, maybe if I swap this for this, that will create more awareness for him. Another thing of actually benefit of tracking calories is it will create awareness and it creates education. Okay, I always say in Mac Lifestyle Fitness, think of tracking your calories almost like a college degree. With you having got the degree being that you're able to eat the foods you want to eat, look the way you want to look, and you actually don't need to count your calories. However, in order to get your degree, you have to put the study and you have to put the reps in. And too many people, they want to skip this stage of just wanting to lose weight, but then they're not willing to spend 5 minutes a day, literally, just 5 minutes a day recording their food. So that's why recording your food is super helpful. And again, once you build the knowledge, once you build the understanding, you can essentially take that with you going forward. I've said this before in podcasts and on YouTube videos that until I started tracking my calories, I used to think that having chocolate-coated peanuts and Muju was a high-protein, quote-unquote, healthy snack. Sure, it may have been high in protein, both of them combined probably at over 40 grams of protein, but it also had over 1,200 calories. That is a terrible calorie to protein ratio. Considering protein has got 4 calories per gram, okay? If I was having 40 grams of protein, the leanest source of protein, 4 times 40 is 160. That had over 1,200 calories. So if you're not tracking your calories, you don't have that awareness, which is why I would not skip this step. Now, some tips for getting started with tracking your calories are, first of all, I'd actually recommend tracking your food if you can 1 day in advance, or at least tracking your food before you eat it. Simply because a lot of people, they might say, I forgot to record this, or forgot to report it. Respectfully, you're not going to forget to eat your food, but it's very easy to forget to track your calories. So what I would say is, if you are tracking your calories, do it for at least 30 days, and a benefit will be that if you track your food 1 day in advance, so it doesn't mean you have to prep all your food in advance, but if you know that, okay, tomorrow I'm in the office, so for the morning I'm going to have overnight oats, that comes in at 450 calories. For lunchtime, I'm not going to have a lunch with me, but I know I can go to that cafe and they sell a nice chicken Caesar salad. I'm going to estimate that to be 550 calories. For dinner, we have a nice, salmon stir fry with some rice, with some vegetables, that will come in at 550 calories. And I'm also going to have a 300 calorie snack, which includes protein yogurt, Brazil nuts, and some fruit. Okay, that's a very simple strategy you can use to essentially just make sure that you keep an eye on your calories and that your eyeballs are not lying to you. Other things just to be mindful of when it comes to tracking your calories is not to become too obsessive. I made this mistake in the past before that it would nearly take away from the experience and the occasion, because I was thinking like, you know, my mum was cooking a lovely dinner and I'm always like, hey, how many calories does this have? How many calories does this have? Look, what I would say is calculate but don't obsess. All right, if you're going out to a restaurant and it's like, how am I meant to track how many calories because I'm not able to weigh my food? Like, just guesstimate. Just guesstimate. Something is better than nothing. So what I would say is, okay, you go to a restaurant, you get some steak, you get some boiled potatoes, you get some vegetables. The steak could be 400 calories, the potatoes could be another 300 calories, the vegetables could be 200 calories, and then there could be some an extra 100, 200 calories from oils there included. That could be an 1100 calorie meal, but you may be higher, you may be lower. Generally, it's hard to get a restaurant on a meal for under 1,000 calories. But just what I would say is like, calculate but do not obsess. All right. Again, an app that I use is MyFitnessPal. I find that very, very helpful. But tracking your calories, you're not meant to do it for life unless you enjoy it. But again, if you don't have that knowledge, you don't have that foundation, it's going to be very, very difficult to assess if what you're doing is working, if you need to make some adjustments. Just some other things then to be mindful of when you're tracking your calories. Another reason to do it is, a lot of our members, we notice that when we're looking at their food diaries in MyFitnessPal, it links up to our Mac Lifestyle Fitness app. Sometimes their snack calories are higher than their meal calories. So a common one is, one of our guys, Simon, before, just in one of our coaching sessions, I was looking at his breakfast and he had like maybe a protein yogurt and a piece of fruit for breakfast, maybe 250, 300 calories. Then I'm looking at his snacks and he has like protein bar, he has some nuts thrown in there, and he's got like 800 calories worth of snacks, and he's complaining he's hungry come the end of the day. So I'm like, Simon, what I want you to do is use the 80-20 principle. Let's get 80% of your calories coming from square meals, the other 20% coming from snacks. So he increases breakfast maybe 500, lunch to 500, dinner for 500, and then 300 snack calories. And again, that was a trend that I noticed just from him counting his calories, and it'll be something you might notice too, that God, I didn't realize I'm consuming this amount of calories in snacking from whatever it might be, protein bars, it could be bread, it could be nuts and so on. But just tracking, essentially, in short, it's going to increase your intuition and increase your understanding. So pillar number 3 is obviously going to be exercise. So you can lose fat by eating less, exercising more, or doing a combination of both. My preference is always to do a combination of both, simply because exercise is going to determine your body composition. So cutting your calories will help you lose weight, but there's a big difference between losing weight and losing body fat. Respectfully, what a lot of people do is they cut their calories way too low, they do not exercise at all, and they just turn out to be skinny fat or a smaller or skinnier fat version of themselves. So you want to make sure you're doing exercise to add more shape and tone to your body. I've never heard anyone say to me, I want to lose weight but I don't want to look good naked, okay? Exercise and lifting weights in particular is what gives your body that shape and that tone. So I would recommend start out a non-negotiable. If something makes you feel good, why would you not want to do it? So a non-negotiable, 30 minutes movement every single day. It doesn't need to be 30 minutes weights, doesn't need to be 30 minutes running, it could be a 30-minute fasted walk, it could be 30 minutes swim, it could be 30 minutes cardio, it could be 30 minutes anything. But look, if you don't have 30 minutes for yourself a day, like multiply that by 7, okay? That is 3.5 hours a week out of a 168-hour week. Don't tell me you don't have at least 2%, not even 2% of your week to dedicate to your exercise, to your fitness. Now, why is lifting weights important? Because above all else, the two things that are going to predict how long you want to live are your VO2 max, which is your max heart rate, and the amount of muscle you have. So in general, the more muscle you have, the longer you're going to live, period. Up until a point, of course. But for most people, respectfully watching this, you're probably not a jacked up bodybuilder. So you could gain from gaining more muscle rather than trying to just focus on losing fat. So what I would say is recommend at least a minimum of 30 minutes exercise per day. And just what I would say is, again, going back to the first point we spoke about, managing your expectations. Like, some of you think that just watching this, that you can go to the gym and how come I'm not seeing changes after like a week or a month? Building muscle is freaking very, very hard. It's very, very challenging. And I just know from reviewing technique videos of some of our clients, and even from my own footage, not claiming to be perfect at all, it's like I could have done more. I could have put in more effort. And muscle is essentially built through effort. Okay, muscle is built through tension. So you have to train hard enough to actually give your body a stimulus to get a response. And a lot of people, what they're doing is they're using exercise to burn calories. The complete wrong idea, especially when it comes to the gym. You do not go to the gym to burn calories. You go to the gym to get stronger, to build muscle. Building muscle will burn more calories outside of the gym than it will in the gym. That's the benefit of having more muscle mass. So what I would say there is just make sure you're doing some form of resistance training, and you have to train at or close to failure. You don't need to go 10 out of 10 balls out every single session, but like if you're training from home, which some of our members are doing, and you only have a set of 5 kilo dumbbells, it's it's very, very hard to hit failure with a 5 kilo dumbbell if you're doing something like squats or you're doing something for your legs, okay? So you need to make sure you're lifting weights which are heavy enough to give you a stimulus to get a response. And that's why I recommend at least 30 minutes movement a day. If I had to do this out and you're relatively new to the gym or you're relatively new to working out, what I would recommend is do 4 30-minute weight sessions a week, which is just 2 hours. And then for the other 3 by 30-minute sessions, that can be 30 minutes of cardio, whether it's incline fasted walking or something like a run or cycle, whatever it might be. But just make sure you do daily movement, because movement is medicine. Okay, so pillar number 4 then, we're nearly there, is building good habits. So habits are very, very important, because we are essentially what we repeatedly do. And oftentimes you might be thinking that you're just living your life in autopilot, that you just do things in a certain way, you wake up a certain way, you brush your teeth a certain way, you probably shower a certain way. We all have certain ways of doing things, but you need to become conscious of your habits and build better habits when it comes to your fitness. So 5 habits that we implement for our clients are: number 1, weigh yourself every single morning. Again, if you check your bank balance every day, all right, you're going to be more conscious of your spending, what's coming in, what's going out. Exact same with your weight. I do not recommend weighing yourself once a week. I actually think if you don't have a bad relationship with the scale, you should weigh yourself every day. Simply being because, number 1, you get a faster feedback loop. You know if your weight is going the right or wrong direction every morning when you weigh in. Secondly, you will build your knowledge and education out. God, okay, I ate a high carb meal last night, my weight went up. Or I didn't eat, so personally speaking, I've lost 0.3 and 0.2 kilos the last 2 days consecutively. And I'd say a reason being is because I didn't eat 3 hours before bed. Doesn't mean I lost half a kilogram of fat. It just means that maybe if I was eating later at night before, that some of those extra calories were still stored in my body the following day. Okay, so that's just good feedback for me. But again, I wouldn't have had that if I don't weigh myself every day. Number 2 is drink at least 1 litre of water inside the first hour of the day. Okay, you're dehydrated first thing in the morning, you lose water in your sleep, and 70% up to 70% of your body weight comes from water. So a lot of people, they mistake being hungry just being dehydrated. But front load your day with water, and do not drink coffee before you drink water. You want to start your day hydrated. Number 3, I would say, is get a plant and a protein in every single meal. So changing the foods you eat, that's step number 1. Tracking your calories, number 2. Building on a good habit then would be planting a protein in every meal. Planting a protein in every meal. So for example, a plant is a fruit or a vegetable. Protein be a leaner meat, leaner fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, protein powders. They're probably my favorite ones. When you have a plant and a protein in every meal, what this does is fiber and protein are very, very satiating, they're very, very filling. Okay, fiber is good for your digestion, it's good for your gut. Protein is obviously good to build and preserve muscle mass. And when you do these things, when you add more of these things in, going back to pillar number 1, okay, this will reduce your hunger and also aid in just helping you stay within your calories. Number 4 then is that you get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. Again, sleeping less, okay, an interesting study, 2 groups, one group is sleeping 5.5 hours or less, the other group is sleeping 8.5 hours or more. Both groups were consuming the exact same number of calories. However, the group that were sleeping 5.5 hours or less, 70% of the weight they lost, up to 70% of the weight they lost, came from lean muscle mass. Okay, came from lean muscle mass. So like, imagine you're changing the foods you eat, you're counting your calories, you're getting your exercise in, but then you're not sleeping. You're neglecting your sleep. Okay, sure, you might be losing weight, but how much of that weight is muscle versus body fat? We want to lose body fat, we don't want to lose muscle. The final thing then will be go for a 10-minute walk after every single meal. Why is it important? Because first of all, it will aid with your digestion, and secondly, it's going to help you burn some additional calories. And for every 10 minutes you walk or every 1,000 steps you walk, you burn anywhere from 30 to 50 calories. So if you have 3 square meals a day, you go for 3 10-minute walks, that's an extra 100 to 150 calories you're going to burn every single day. And finally, pillar number 5 is just being consistent, okay? A lot of people, again, going back to point number 1 mistake is that they think that fitness is a finite game, that it's like Galway are playing Dublin, Ireland are playing England, where there's a winner, there's a loser. Guess what? You do not win at the game of fitness, and the goal of this game is just to simply keep on playing. So promise, just once you do not quit, please just do not quit, sooner or later you're going to get there, okay? There are going to be tough days. There are going to be days where you know that you know that you shouldn't be doing something, but you do it anyways. We've all had those days where it's like you've had 2 cookies and then you just keep eating and keep eating, you keep eating, even though you don't even probably want them, you don't even crave the sugar, okay? I'm human, everyone is human, we've all had those days, but guess what? Okay, one bad day doesn't mean it should turn into a bad week, a bad month, a bad year, okay? And that's where a lot of people, they let one small setback just derail their progress, okay? Once you do not quit, sooner or later you will get there. So what I'd say above all else, just stay consistent, okay? And staying consistent comes down to mistake number 1 to avoid, which is trying to do too much at once. Okay, if you're just relatively new to this, starting out, it could just be, let's change the foods we eat. Okay, let's add 30 minutes of exercise every single day. Let's just track our protein intake and not track everything else. Let's just track our protein intake. Now let's track our full calories. Now let's increase our activity and go from, four 30-minute workouts to 4 45-minute workouts. But you don't need to build Rome overnight. Just gradually, slowly stack it up over time, and that's what builds consistency. And just on the topic of consistency, one of my favorite stories is from a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. In the book, he speaks about a guy who lost over 100 pounds, and I believe inside 1 year, and he did this by just doing 6 5-minute workouts every day. Now, you might think, okay, 6 5-minute workouts, it doesn't seem like a lot, but what he did do was, every day that he went to the gym, he mastered the art of showing up. And every action you take is a vote towards the person you want to become. So this individual, this guy going to the gym every day, that was a vote towards him that he was a fit guy and he had a fit identity, he had a fitter mindset, okay? And because he went to the gym, it's like, okay, well, if you go to the gym, you're probably going to be more likely to eat healthy for the rest of the day. Just like if you have a shitty breakfast, you're probably going to be less likely to want to exercise, to want to move. So every action you take, it's a vote towards the person you want to become. And just by doing some movement every day, which I spoke about here, that's going to shape your identity and shape essentially the person you want to become. So you essentially not only just lose your first 10 pounds, but why can't you lose your next 10, your next 10, your next 10 and maintain it? That's the key. A lot of people are able to lose it, but they're not able to maintain it. And that's where the mindset, the mentality, the person you become along the way comes in. And just some success stories that we've had with this. So, for example, one of our clients, Darry, came to us, and inside his first 7 months, he lost 20 kilograms. We didn't start him out by doing all of these things at once. The first thing we started doing was just get him to walk 30 minutes a day and just send us pictures of his food. Over time then we got him counting his calories, giving him a macronutrient breakdown and just giving him more one-on-one nutrition coaching. But we did not do that all at once, okay? That's the key here. One of our other clients, Niall, he just started, and inside his first 7 days, 9 days actually, he dropped 4 kilograms from doing what? Changing the foods he was eating. He wasn't aware he was eating such high fat, highly processed foods, changed to more single ingredient whole foods, started feeling better and actually enjoying his workouts. One of our other guys in Daniel, chronic fat dieter, lost weight before, regained it, lost weight before, regained it. Again, what do we do? 3 30-minute workouts to start out from his home gym, started just adjusting some of the foods you eat, and he still had dinner with his family every single evening. It wasn't this super restrictive and bare-bit approach, and that's why you have to enjoy the process. It's like you're going to be living for the rest of your life. You're going to be eating food for the rest of your life, okay? Exercise should be a big part of your lifestyle. So when you find a process that works for you, that you enjoy, that you look forward to, okay, you're going to want to get up in the morning. You're going to want to go to the gym, okay? You're going to say, I get to do this rather than I have to do it. That's essentially where you want to be, okay? So start off small, build yourself up, and that's how essentially you're going to build your confidence, all right? And they are the 5 things you need to focus on to lose your first 10 pounds. So change the foods you eat, keep a food diary, track your calories even better, exercise at least 30 minutes daily, build some good habits, and then finally stay consistent, okay? If you found this helpful, first of all, please make sure you subscribe to my podcast, The Lifestyle Lifter Show, so you don't miss out on weekly uploads. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would really appreciate if you subscribe. I'm putting a lot more effort into my YouTube, my long form content, so any subscriber at all, it is greatly appreciated. Any comments you have in relation to this video or anything you want me to post about, please do comment below as well. I will reply. And if you want daily content, that's where my Instagram account will come in. My Instagram handle is Adrian_Mac Lifestyle Fitness. So Adrian_Mac Lifestyle Fitness. But that is all for this week's show, for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it and catch you in the next one.